Hey everyone, it is time for the October garden tour. And I know I say this every single month, but September flew by exceptionally fast because we were gone for about 2 weeks of it and it happened to be the last part of September. So that means I did nothing to my garden for 2 weeks. And since we've been back just a couple days, I still haven't done anything because I've been very busy catching up. So basically when we got back, well, I didn't have anyone take care of my garden while we were gone. I either relied on drip, and then anything that didn't have drip, I gave it a really good water and crossed my fingers that we got rain. And it seems like, for the most part, things survived. I think there's one thing that I'll show you in just a second that might be too far gone, but I was going to end up pulling that pretty soon here anyway. So we got back. I didn't know what to expect. I came upstairs, and everything was so full and still alive. I did prune some of the flowers off of my dahlias on the back just to keep them blooming for however much long they have left. But this is the fullest my October garden has ever been. I mean, it is the year that I've planted the most, but it's also been warmer than average. So plants that I would have normally pulled, I haven't yet. And it's been like 70s and 80s. I think we're about to start dipping down pretty soon here, but it doesn't even really feel like fall yet. It actually felt like fall when we left Chicago. And then when we came back, it was back in the 80s and summer all over again. So I am excited to show you the garden, although I'm a little overwhelmed with how much work I have to do. But something I think I'm going to do differently this year is not pull anything. I will try to remember to tell you which plants I'm thinking of keeping, even if I'm going to pull them in the spring. But in the horticulture class I am taking right now, we're learning a lot about the importance of winter habitat for pollinators and beneficial insects. Now that does mean obviously it's also going to provide habitat for maybe some non-beneficial insects, but there's some stuff that I think I'm going to leave up and then not do that cleanup until the spring, whereas usually everything is emptied out for the winter. Anything else to tell you before I start showing you around? I know there's going to be a lot of tasks I still need to do, so forgive the garden if it looks a little messy. We've had some things break just a few seconds before I started to film this video. Something I'm going to do different is I think I am going to combine this front deck and the back deck into one video this time, because there's not as much to go through, I think now, so I think it'll all fit nicely into one video. So I'm going to show you my front deck, which is where we're at now, which is 18 by 19 square feet, faces west. Then we'll head to the back deck, which is also 18 by 19 square feet, but a little bit smaller because of the air conditioning units that faces east. So let me go tour you around for the October garden tour. Now, usually for the garden tours, I will clean up at least a little bit. I mean, it's not terrible, but my hose is out. I have sunflowers that I deadheaded just laying on the deck. I need to go around and do a cleanup. I really just need to take a couple hours and get out here, but I feel like when you're gone, you just come back and then spend a lot of time catching up. So starting off here in the center, this is basically just things I reconfigured that were in other spots as I started to pull some plants. So I have my fern here, which there's really only a few spots on my deck that I can keep a fern happy because I don't get enough shade. Now that we're getting a bit cooler, and then this is blocked by this raised bed and these plants, it's done really well here. I have the Rock in the Blue suede shoe salvia, which this is the #1 pollinator attractor in my garden. There's honeybees, bumblebees, I'm sure other type of bees that I cannot identify, but I want to add even more to my garden next year. I think I have 4 plants this year. I want more because it makes them happy. So I'd like to get more things that make the bees happy. Then coming into the center raised bed here, I have, well, what was in here? I pulled just a couple weeks ago, you would have seen that in a video, I pulled the Super Tunia Vista bubblegum and the Zinderella zinnias that I had in here. I replaced them. Well, I did have a floss flower here, the blue mink, which was in a different pot that I just moved here to fill in some space. And then I added in some echinacea, some rudbeckia, and some gaillardia, which this section I need to deadhead a lot because obviously the more you deadhead, the more blooms will come. And if, like me, you haven't deadheaded any flowers in 2-ish weeks, that's going to tell the plant to stop producing as many blooms. But I still love the amount of color I have in here. I think I mentioned this in the video where I did the fall bed makeover, but I really love being able to see to the back, because the zinnias in here were so tall that I couldn't see anything from this angle, which is what I see from the house. So I love being able to see kind of everything at once without having to walk around the bed. But coming in here closer, I mean, you can see how many of these I could deadhead, and these look really pretty dried. So I need to get out here and harvest some of those. Oh, there's another happy little bee. Oh, there's a couple bees over there. Pollinators have been so great this year. I think last year, was it last year or the year before? It seemed like there were just fewer, which makes me nervous. I think this spring also started off a little slow, but it's just been full of especially bees in the garden. So yeah, that is the center raised bed. Oh, I did pop in, I forgot, some pansies here too. I might grab some more. Right before we left when we were looking, I didn't get the best. They were kind of leggy, but it was like the first round of whatever was out. I love these to press and bring inside too, but I think I need to get some more. And now there should be a lot more availability at the garden center. So that is my center raised bed. All of this I plan to leave in here. I might like remove the blue mink, but everything else I want to leave in here to dry, to support any pollinators that might be overwintering, any birds that might be visiting. So I will keep this here. And also just visually to have something kind of sitting in here as well. Let's head this way next. First off, you also would have just seen me empty out this flower cart. I think I said in the video that maybe I would plant it up for fall, but honestly, there's still so much left. I think I'm kind of out of the mood of planting anything, and I'm more in the mood of getting things all cleaned up. So the morning glory is actually still doing really great. Very full. I have 2 plants in here, one on the left side, one on the right hand side. So I'm going to leave those for now, but those will probably be pulled in the next couple weeks. I need to start emptying out these pots, and I'll show you what I do with my soil and talk more about that in a separate video. But anything that's not plastic needs to come inside so it doesn't break over winter. So these are all kind of just sitting here for now until I get the rest of the garden cleaned up. Now over to my herb rack. So literally 2 minutes before I was coming outside, I heard a thud. And I thought maybe my broom got knocked over because that happens sometimes. And it came out and, well, both of these plants had fallen over, but this sage plant here broke. So I will probably like just cut the plant off, bring it inside to dry, and throw this pot away. And then the other one that fell is my pineapple sage, which I'm excited because I've never seen it bloom before. And again, I haven't been harvesting, so look how pretty this is. I've never really known what the pineapple sage flowers look like, but these are absolutely stunning. So I love it. I know that some herbs, when they flower, it diminishes the taste, but not all of them. I don't know with this one what it is, but pretty soon here I'm going to harvest all of my herbs and empty out all the pots. You can overwinter some of the herbs. I mean, some even outside in containers. I'm not feeling like it this year. And I always say, you know what, do what you feel like. So I think I'm just going to harvest everything, empty it out. And then most of these herbs I will, well, probably all of them, I will dry. So swinging around now, again, didn't clean up. There's a rhubarb leaf on the ground, but here is what I think I killed. I came back and it just didn't look that great. I did give it some water, but it hasn't perked up in a couple days. So here I had 2 salvias in the back. What did I have in the front? I can't even remember anymore because it's just a pile of almost dying plants. But this is in an aqua pot, which has to be emptied out and at least the insert, I believe, stored inside. So I knew I was going to pull everything in this anyway. So I'm just going to let it, I'm not going to water it. I'm going to let it completely dry out because I find that it's easier to pull the plants that way. And then I will go ahead and empty out that container. Over here, so everything in this section also did not have drips set up to it, but my 2 raspberry plants are doing great. I need to get in here and harvest it. Pretty sure the main harvest was ready while we were out of town, so that was bad timing on our part, but I think some birds might have gotten a little bit of a snack. Here I just have another pot that I will be emptying out. It is ceramic. It has been outside over winter the last 2-3 years. It hasn't broken yet, but because I feel like I have enough like additional large pots out here, I'm going to move this one inside because it is really pretty. So I'm going to empty out the plants, empty out the pot, clean it, and move that inside for a houseplant. Coming back up in the bed then is my Gomphrena bed. So I have all different varieties of Gomphrena, QAS pink, QAS orange, I have QIS Carmine, and then I'm forgetting Audrey Red is that purple one, and then Raspberry Cream is that one there. These I need to harvest too. I've not been good about harvesting from this bed. Usually I'll come out like every week and grab some, and I don't know if it's just been busier than normal end of the summer. So I need to come through, I harvest everything in this bed, I let it dry, and then this bed will be empty for the winter. There were also some petunias in there. I think you can still see some flowers right there. And then there's a random plant, a rogue plant, in the back there. So I don't know if that's Baltonia or what that is in the back. I don't know where it came from or how it got there. But the Gomphrena has been in this bed, different Gomphrena. It's an annual for me here for 3 years, and I love it. I mean, especially it always looks good pretty far into fall. So just a burst of color. Coming around now to my little garden pathway, I have one rhubarb here. I have a strawberry plant here. Ground cherry being taken over by the zinnias, which zinnias I'm deciding if I'm going to pull them or not. I really need to deadhead some of these, maybe make a few more giveaway bouquets, but that has not happened yet. It is on my to-do list. I have a tomato plant here, so these I definitely need to go through and harvest as well. I know I'm going to jinx it, and you're probably going to see one as I'm talking about it, but I haven't had any hornworms this year. I think last year I had one. It does seem like the wasps do a pretty good job of eating the caterpillars, but I did not do a great job of keeping up on pruning on this. I do great with garden maintenance until about mid-July, and then things get crazy, things take over. So I will go ahead and harvest this, and then this one I think I will pull before the end of the season. Again, zinnias I think I might leave just for some height and structure in the garden. I have my other Aqua Pot over here, which has lantana in it. I'm trying to see, I mean, there are other plants, I just don't know if anything else is blooming. There was some dianthus in here, but that might have died back. There was some Supertunia Mini, so those don't seem to be blooming as well anymore. It's kind of been the lantana show. Oh, and that reminds me, when we were in Nice, which is zone 10, I believe, I didn't realize how large lantanas could get. I think it's like 6 feet. So I had some in the hanging baskets over there. Obviously they're not very large. These are now taking over, and I kind of love that. So like now I know I could plant 1 or 2 in here, and it would definitely fill this pot. Now I don't know if I'm going to fit through there, so let's head to the other side of the garden. All right, coming around this way. Well, first I have one more rhubarb plant here. These I overwinter outside. I'll show you that once we get to that point. But I still have 3 pepper plants, which is not normal for early October in Chicago, and they're still producing. Again, need to get out here and harvest. This one is a bell pepper plant that I got seeds from Park Seed. They're really pretty white color. I don't know if they were supposed to be white. Like in the image, I don't remember them being white, but I really love it. So bell peppers. Oh, that tomato plant is looking rough. That is my Roma tomato, my determinate tomato. So I already harvested basically everything off of that except for that one I apparently missed. And once it's done producing the fruit, it basically dies back. Unlike the indeterminate over there, which is still producing like crazy. That zinnia is dead. Should probably see, I wonder why, because that's in the same bag as the other ones. I don't know, I really need to get in here and start cleaning up, which is like the least fun part of the garden. Then I have here my jalapeno pepper. Probably get these harvested too. I think we're getting into the 50s and 60s like in a few days, so that's gonna be about the end for them. So I'm gonna try to do this either this afternoon or tomorrow. But then this is the chocolate cherry candy cane pepper, and I was hoping by now, because if you leave them on here, they'll turn red and look more like a candy cane, but they didn't turn red in the time that we were gone. And I harvested, before we left, I basically harvested as much as I could because I knew we were going to be out of town. But I think these are just the prettiest peppers, and the plant itself is really pretty. I mean, the variegation on those leaves is stunning. So I really love this plant. These are not spicy. They just taste like bell peppers to me. So chocolate cherry candy cane peppers. Then this was my planned native bed, which ended up not being. any natives, and that was my mistake. So I think I sowed some seeds in fall and some in spring, and we've just kind of had a mixture of plants throughout the year. I think I had cornflower at first, and then the cosmos kind of took over. I don't even know, I'm pretty sure there were like 25 plus different varieties. I don't think I realized how invasive cosmos can be, but it has been what has taken over. And I was, again, really good at deadheading. Actually, I was pretty good at deadheading before we left, but now you can see, ooh, with the wind right there, most of those blooms are dead. These two, so the two tall ones just really took off right before we left, so a couple weeks ago. That cosmos is blooming now. I don't know what the flowers are going to be on that, or if we are actually going to get flowers here. But my plan is to empty out this bed, put actual native seeds in it that I just got this fall, because a lot of them like cold stratification. So I do that by planting them in the fall so they are on the soil over winter. I don't know what the roots of these plants, especially that one on the left, is going to be like, so that's going to be interesting. I actually just ordered a garden knife to help with getting out the roots. Here are two of my dahlias. So this dahlia has not flowered yet. There's finally a bloom. I planted this in late May, early June-ish, and for some reason this one was stunted. It looks healthy, like the leaves look great. It sat at about the height of that tomato cage for a month or two. I don't know if we're going to get a bloom or an actual flower to bloom. I hope we do before the end of the season. I mean, these could go for another 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks if we are lucky. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed we get a bloom on that one. I have my second dahlia here in the pot in desperate need of a deadhead there. And then in this center bed, first of all, I have the sunflower stalks that I'm now using as a trellis. You can see that, I mean, all the flowers are dead, but I still even love the structure of those dead seed heads. The birds have been enjoying them as well. So I really love doing this. It's my second year of doing this exact same thing, growing sunflowers here and then turning them into a trellis. But I did sow my peas. So this is the royal snap peas from Park Seed. They're this really pretty purple color. I was nervous about the heat and how they would do, but they've been doing okay. It gets pretty hot up here. So hopefully these will grow over the next like 4 to 6 weeks and I will get a good harvest of peas. And then in front, I just saw these black flowers at a garden center and had to get some. So these are black pansies. These are some black violas. Again, they weren't in the best condition. They were kind of leggy, which they still kind of are. But I love the flowers on them, and I'm going to press some of these flowers too. I think I'm going to get some more to fill in here. The sunflower stalks will stay, the peas I'll probably pull, and then these pansies I will leave out over the winter too. I also have in the back there one of my mystery seed plants, the Mexican tarragon, still here in the bed. I need to pull this one too by the end of the season. Those have really big and strong root systems. So that's what's in this bed. I have my two other dahlias over here, again in desperate need of a deadhead for that one. This one is just starting to open up. I have caladiums that I moved from the flower cart to have drip running to them because I don't have drip to the flower cart while we were gone. I don't know if I'm going to overwinter these because I don't think they're my favorite color. I don't know. We'll see. I do have some in the back that I do plan to overwinter. And then I have my last pot here. Oh, you know what? I did have 6 salvia plants. So this has 2 more of Rock and Blue Suede Shoes salvia. You can see the bees just right up in the flowers there. So that's everything out front here. Let's go ahead and we will head over to the back deck after I give you one last sweep. We are over on the back deck now, which is kind of more of a, well, not a mess, I would say, but I feel like I've kind of moved things around, pulled more things back here, threw some other plants in their places than I did on the back deck. But maybe we'll actually start over in this corner here. First off, I have my Flavorette Honey Apricot Rose, and this was funny because, I mean, we left and I would say the rose was all about that high, and then we came back and there's just one super long branch. So I will probably trim that just because I needed to overwinter in a greenhouse and that is too tall to fit in the greenhouse, but I just thought that was funny coming back to just one giant branch there. These 4 are the hydrangeas that I got from Proven Winners that I was crossing my fingers did not die. Did put them onto the drip irrigation, so they each have drip running. I was very happy that they were all still alive when I came back. I don't think I can truly pick a favorite because not all of them have bloomed yet, but look at how pretty these blooms are. So this one is the Tough Stuff Top Fun. One of these, can't remember which one, gets to like 6 feet, but all the rest of them are about 2 to 3 feet, so they'll be perfect for a balcony deck garden. I have 2 more Morning Glory here, which look a little sadder than the front. These I'll probably pull, I don't know, pretty soon here. I'm just kind of over them. They are starting to sort of take over the door, which is what I wanted, but now that they don't look as happy and they're kind of just a tangled mess, I think it's time to say goodbye to those pretty soon. Then back here I have another hydrangea. If you don't have blooms on your hydrangea yet and they're still young, know that that's normal. Like in the first or second year they might not flower, so that is still a young one there. I have then the peppermint patty Bergania. Then I have what I think is one of my favorite parts of my deck garden, but is hidden most of the time behind my couch. And this is my little shade border. Again, we ended up getting a lot more sun than I expected here. But I have in here the Vava Violet Caladium, pink polka dot plant, the White Star Caladium, and then I have the tiny Quickfire hydrangeas. So this one bloomed, obviously, and the blooms are starting to turn that really pretty pink color. So in terms of like color scheme, sticking to one, having plants that look good together, I think I did really well over here. So I love this little shade border. These are the caladiums I'm going to plan to overwinter in these containers. Again, I will take you with me while I do that. It'll be my first attempt at these. I'll also show you how I overwinter hydrangeas, that I've been doing for a few years now. Let's maybe head over on this side of the couch. So first here I have my beach plum tree, which I think I need to get a second one of because when I got it, they said it was self-pollinating, and then everything else I read said that it is not. But I think that's a pretty good size to have like one kind of flanking either side of my couch. So I got this at a garden center in Chicago. I'm hoping I can still find another one next year. And then let's go back here first. So everything in this border, like I said, is kind of just a mishmash right now. I had some open spaces from where I pulled like zinnias, some cosmos, other plants that I just threw in some fall plants. In here in the front, there were Supervena, there were mini Supertunia Vistas. I'm forgetting off the top of my head what else is in there. I'm letting these die out because I'm going to pull them. And again, I find it easier to pull the plant when it's dried out. So I've turned off the drip irrigation of these 4 pots. And these 2 will come inside. These 2. These 2 will come inside because they are terracotta. This one and this one, I'm going to leave the soil in and then use those kind of as extra insulation against some of the other pots that I'm going to leave out. Heading back here is the evergreen, one of the 2 that I just planted. So this is the holly tree that is zone 5 that I'm hoping overwinters. There are berries on it. However, I got 2 females and I think I need a male. So I might have a 3rd evergreen. Although, you know what, maybe I'll even get, should I just get 4 and do hollies in between these 2 beds where the dahlias are? I don't know. Lots of ideas. That won't be till next spring anyway. But I love how the berries look on that plant. I did have issues in the past with another evergreen getting too much water, so I actually haven't watered these at all manually since I planted them. They're not hooked up to drip. They get rain, and so far, they've done great. Here I have Supertunias that I need to pull. I have this tricolor sweet potato vine that, I mean, it still looks actually okay, but I'm going to pull that too. I think for these flowers, though, I will leave them for the winter. I need to deadhead that one, though. But I think I'm going to leave these here because I'm not going to plant any bulbs or anything in this bed. But I don't know. We'll see. This dahlia is Otto's Thrill. Blooms fantastic. I'm not going to save this one or this one and overwinter it because there were signs of a virus. Not worth saving those and trying to overwinter them. I'll just get new tubers at the beginning of next season. But when I came back, these were so full of blooms. There were at least 20-25 flowers plus buds, and even now you can see all of the buds that are still on this plant and the flowers. Need to keep deadheading here as well. Coming over the center bed, more super tunias in the corner, my one remaining cosmos that didn't start blooming until beginning of September. Should have been deadheading this too, but this one's probably going to get pulled soon. So this whole bed is going to be emptied out. I have my osteosperma in here too that I moved from another container. I think that one I also moved from a container too, but this one's getting cleared out completely because I'm going to plant bulbs in here. And from what I've learned in the past years of failure, I need to cover my bulbs because they get too much moisture. The soil here gets too much moisture in fall, winter, early spring, and the bulbs rot. And I would prefer my bulbs not rot, so I don't waste all of that time and money. Oh, you know what? I actually see some status in here. I thought I pulled all the status, but there's still some sneaking through. That's a really pretty color in there. So yeah, this one will be emptied out pretty soon here. I'm still waiting on my bulbs. They're a little delayed in the mail, which makes me nervous. So we'll see what condition they're in when they get here. But yeah, I'll plant these up probably in the next few weeks. Another auto thrill. This bed is basically the same as that end bed. So yeah, probably gonna leave some of the plants, but clean out most of this too. And then I have my other holly tree right over there. I cannot express how much I love having the holly trees in here. It's like the perfect height. I'm gonna have some evergreen color. And now that I'm looking at this, I really do think I wanna get an evergreen here and here, just for some balance. So then in this little border here, I have first what I think is Michaela Miranda. So this was supposed to be something else last year. It was not. From what Google showed, I was thinking Michaela Miranda, but then someone else said probably not. So I actually still don't know what variety this is. I just know it was not the variety I got last year. I then have my lemon tree, which has 1, 2, there's the third one, 3. Can you see that? No, you can't. Let's get back here. 3 good-sized lemons on it. Well, that one is starting to turn yellow. Now, this is the plant that I'm not sure if I'm going to keep because it is such a hassle to keep it healthy over winter. If I give it away, I'm going to give it away with the lemons on it so someone can benefit from that, but I don't know, kind of up in the air. I have here my 2 columnar apple trees and a cherry tree, and I think I'm also going to get rid of the cherry tree too. With this one, I originally had two different cherry trees. One died from a cold snap in the spring, so I'd have to get a second one, and I just don't think I have the room to dedicate to that up here, especially with everything else that I have, and if I get a second of the beach plum. So that one's probably going to be given away as well. And then I have my last hydrangea here, which I forgot to water, so I just did. So it's looking a little drippy, but not too bad. This one was in a container where I planted the hollies. So I've had this, I think maybe I got this in spring. So I'm going to try to treat you a little bit better to keep them alive. But my plan for next year, I'm going to have 8 hydrangeas. So I might turn this whole thing then into my hydrangea wall. But I mean, everything can change by the time next year comes around. But I think that is everything that is going on back here. I feel like I'm more ready to pull the plants in this garden because I have had so much change here already, whereas the front deck, a lot of it is still looking exactly how it did at the beginning of the season. But yeah, that is my back deck garden. As a reminder, I didn't have a garden back here last year. All these beds I got last fall, which is a great time to get containers, either on Black Friday or in the off season to get discounts on them. So those are all new. I think I had some overflow last year. I maybe had at most like 5 grow bags. I think maybe I had a melon back here last year sprawling out, but I didn't have an actual garden. And I've loved having this because that is where I hang out most of the time. I have a table up front, but I like to lounge and read and start my mornings out here. So it's been a fantastic change to be sitting in the middle of a garden on my back deck too. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. I don't think so. it's gonna be just a lot of cleanup coming up. I will take you along with me as I show you how I overwinter, everything that I am going to overwinter. If you want to see the previous month's garden tours, I will link that down below. There will be different ones for front and back decks for most of the season until now. And then I definitely will do a garden tour in November, probably in December too, because there does seem to be a good amount of change from like November, there might still be some plants out, to December, everything will be stored and I can kind of show you how that looks. But then I typically don't do one January, February. Do I do one in March? I don't know if I do or not. We'll kind of see. But I can't believe this garden season is almost over. It has been the best one yet, the most fun, the most plants I've ever grown. I've learned a ton and I can't wait until next year. But I'm also looking forward to the break that we get in gardening during the winter. So that's going to be everything. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.